Hi guys, welcome to learntocreategames.com. Today we'll be looking at finite-state machine in less than 12 minutes. So we'll have a look at what is a finite-state machine, animator controllers, states, transitions, and also scripting. So let's get started. First, what we'll do is create a brand new folder, so I've got it already ready. And then what we'll create is what is an animator controller. So the animator controller basically will be used to control a finite-state machine. So the first thing is to give it a name. So in my case, it's going to be my first FSM. As soon as I save it, it will start to import a few assets that are necessary for the FSM to work. Once this is done, then I can look at the animator. So you have a window called Animator. It might not be there by default. So what you may need to do is to go to Window and then Animator. So again, I'm showing you here. From Window, you can go straight to the menu called, or the menu option called Animator. So once you open your Animator, you have two states by default, entry and any states. So the entry is basically the state it's going to be in straight away when the animator is used, and any state we can see that a little bit later. So again, I'm going to create an empty state and rename it. So by default, you can see that whenever it's in the entry mode, it will go straight to the state that I've just created. So I'm going to call this state idle. Okay, so again, very simple. It is orange by default. And I'm going to create another state. This state will be called follow player. So what we want to generate here is a kind of a finite-state machine that will be idle until it can detect the player. So again, I can move those around if I want to. If you press the Alt key as well, you can pan the view. Okay, so right now I've got two states, idle and follow player. Next, I will create parameters. Those parameters will make it possible for me to determine some transitions between these states. So the first parameter here is called player is close by, but I think I'm going to change that to player is near. And what this does really, it's creating a Boolean variable. You saw that you could create Boolean or float variable or string variables as well. So in my case, it's going to be either true or false. So again here, I'm going to right click on this idle state and then create a transition between this state and the state follow player. So here at the bottom of the window on the right hand side, you can select what condition needs to be fulfilled. In my case, I've set the variable player is near. So if the player is near is true, then we will transition between the idle state and the follow player state. So to be able to test this transition and this animator, I will need to do one thing at least, is to create an object, and this object will have an animator component. So again, I'm going to create this object and rename it manage NPC. Once this is done, I will add a component to it. So again, click on component and go to miscellaneous components. So again, miscellaneous is right there. Click on it and then choose animator. So here again we have an animator. We just want to link it to the one we have just created. So again, drag and drop the animator you have just created in the placeholder to the right of controller. Now we should be pretty much okay to go. So if we play the scene, what we should see is that the animation will be in the idle mode by default. So again, if I play my scene and I move to the animator window, you can see that it's in the idle mode. You can see the blue little line. And what I want is transition to the other state. So again, what I will do is I will change the variable player is near to true. As you can see straight away, it will transition to the state follow player. So at this stage, we can see that the transitions are working pretty well. And what we will do now is create a script. And this script will basically enable to transition from one state to the other, but this time we're going to do it all using a script. So again, it's just to get you ready to manage your behaviors or a finite-state machine using the script. So as I double click on first, before even double clicking on it, I'm going to take this script and move it on the empty object called manage NPC. Remember, this object includes the animator that I'm trying to control. So again, when this is done, we can start to animate, not to animate, but to edit the script to be able to control the behavior. So Right now what we have is creating an animation. So again, the animation is called anim, and again the type is animator. Then in the start function, what we will do is simply initialize this anim variable. So in this case, we're going to say that this anim will point to or refer to the component called animator that is on the object to which this script is linked to. The next thing is to use this animator. So again, what we will do is try to detect key inputs. So in our case, we're going to say that if the key called P is pressed, then basically we're going to change the attribute or one of the attributes of this animation. So we're going to say that in this animation, we're going to set the Boolean value for the variable called, and I'm going to need to check that in Unity. So again, the variable called player is near. So we're going to set the value of the Boolean variable player is near to true. So again, the syntax is anim the set bool, B-O-O-L, to set a Boolean value, then the name of the parameter, and then its value. So again, this should actually set the value of this parameter. I have made a small mistake here, you might have seen it if you know the syntax. I forgot to put an S uppercase for set Boolean. So again, if I go to Unity, if I look at the console window, I should have an error, and the error should be that, well, first the I should be lowercase, and then the set bool, the S should be uppercase. Now it might not appear right now, it might only appear when the game is played. So again, if I play it, you should see that I will have an error. Okay, so if I play it, there should be a red error, and I'm not sure if you can see it here, but as soon as I start to press the key, which is the P key, I will have an error. And the error is because I forgot to put the S uppercase. We can see it right there, and again, if I click on this error and modify it, okay, so again the S should be S uppercase. If I save that, I don't need to clear the window because I just ticked clear on play, and then if I play it again, what we should get is that whenever I press the key, here you go, I can go to the next state. So at this stage, everything works pretty well. And what I'd like to do at this stage is to be able to determine what state we're in. For instance, it's very handy to perform several actions depending on the state of our Finite-State machine. So for this end, what I will use is, again, the anim. Remember, the anim points to the animator linked to the object that is linked to the script. And when this is done, I will just get the name of the current state. So I will use anim.getCurrent animator state info. The 0 after info point to the first layer. You will see later on that you can actually create several layers. So 0 will be the first layer. And then his name is idle. So again, there is a small typo here. On the line 18, I should have quotes before and after the word idle. Okay, so again, I'm checking if my current state is idle. And if it is the case, then I will print the message, we are in the idle state. So again, this is very simple. There are other syntaxes that you can use, but this one is pretty much straightforward. And again, here I'm going to copy and paste the code just to check if I am indeed in a state called follow player. So again, I'm going to remove idle, go back to Unity, check the name, so again it's follow player, back again, and now again I'm going to use follow player. So again, if I am in the idle state, I'm going to say we are in the idle state, and if I am in the state called follow player, I will then print we are following the player. So again, this is great because using FSM system or Finite-State machine, what you could do is, depending on the state where you are, you can perform several actions. And again, just to remind you about Finite-State machines, the idea is that you are already, again, you are in one state and one state only at a time. So you are either in the idle mode or you are in the follow player mode. So that's part of the reason why it's called a Finite-State machine, because you are in one state or the other. So again, if you play the scene, and now remember you can press either the letter P or the letter O. If I press the P key, you can see that in the in the console that I should actually move on to the flow player. Now, again, something that might happen to you as well. If I press P here, nothing happens. It's because I need to activate the game window. I need to press P, but being in the actual game window. So the very simple thing I need to do is to look at the game window and then press P while the game window is open. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. Okay, it will not detect the key inputs. So again, here, what I should do really is I'm going to pause it and play it again, but this time opening the actual game window. Okay, so the game window is now active, and if I play the scene again, now we should be okay. So now effectively, if I press P, it will transition to follow player, and if I press O, it will go back to the idle. So again, I'm going to clear this window possibly, and again you should see that it works perfectly. Oh, sorry, what I forgot to say, sorry, is that again, I can't transition back to the idle mode unless I created a transition for that. So I needed to add that. In my case, I will transition back from follow player to idle if player is near is set to false. So again, I need to modify it slightly. So again, I could just change my code here. And in this case, if the key that is pressed is O, then the Boolean variable player is near will be set to false. Okay, so again that should be fine. If I save it now and play the scene, I should be able to successively go from the idle to the flow player states, and then back to from the follow player state to the idle state, and those using the P key in the first case and O key in the other case. So again, I'm going to clear this window so you can see the transition. So again, pressing O brings me back to the idle mode. Well, that's it guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and again, if you want to learn more about Unity, please check the website learntocreategames.com. See you. Bye.